time for the live Q&A. Okay, here's the deal. This Q&A is just for cancer patients. So you got to post your questions below this live video. Don't post them on my page. I'm not going to see them. Only if you post them below the video will I see them. So the first question I see is from Meryl. Please, everyone, stop posting on my page. Post them under the video. Okay, so Meryl says, Hi Chris, thank you so much for this program. I purchased my copy last night. My question is, if you're considered cancer-free from surgery with no chemo, sorry, give me a moment. Oh, you know what? I'm sorry, I can't see your whole question. It's only showing me half of it. All right, so here we go. Let me find another one that I can read on here. Facebook Live's a little tricky because, you know, it doesn't show you the whole question. It only shows you the first part, and if the question's too long, then I can't see it. So anyway, bear with me here. We're going to make this work. Okay. All right, give me a moment, folks, to get back to Meryl's question. And if people keep posting questions on my page, it's going to ruin it. So I hope they stop. They've got to post the questions below the video because it keeps, like, I keep getting these notifications and it's really kind of interrupting everything. So anytime you see my hand go up like that, I'm trying to close out a notification. All right, here we go. So first question, Denise, how do we balance our food choices when having both cancer and diabetes? Well, diabetes actually leads to cancer. So cancer rates are much higher in diabetics. And obviously that doesn't answer your question, but this is a known fact. And the thing is, the square one diet, what I talk about, is a diet that's rich in fruits and vegetables. And when you eat tons of fruits and vegetables, you can reverse type 2 diabetes with a diet that is rich in fruits and vegetables. Diabetes is a disease of fat toxicity. Now, pretty much the common knowledge, which is wrong, is that diabetes is caused by sugar. It is not caused by sugar. Diabetes is caused by fat. What happens is when you eat a diet, when you've eaten a diet your whole life that's loaded with fat and oils and grease, it clogs you up. It clogs up your insulin-producing beta cells. It coats and lines your internal tissues, right? And it surrounds your cells. And when your cells are surrounded by fat, when your pancreas is full of fat and grease and oil, it clogs it up. And guess what happens? When you're clogged up, your cells cannot absorb sugar. And that's why your blood sugar stays high, because you've got so much grease and fat in your body that it cannot absorb and metabolize sugar. And so what happens when you stop eating animals, stop eating animal fat, stop eating grease and oil, your body will break down the fat that is stored in it, right? And you will shed that fat. And what happens is you become very efficient, become a very efficient metabolizer of sugar. And then sugar no longer becomes a problem for you. So, you know, it's very easy to reverse type 2 diabetes. A lot of type 2 diabetics are overweight. And just getting the weight off, doesn't even matter if they eat a healthy diet. Just losing, you can go on a crack diet or a crystal meth diet. If you lose that weight, a lot of times it reverses type 2 diabetes. So the thing is, I don't know you, but if you're overweight, the absolute most important thing that you need to do, the priority has got to be get the weight off. Get down to a healthy body weight. And the beautiful thing about what I talk about in Square One is that you can overdose on fruits and vegetables. You can eat as much as you want, stuff yourself with fruits and vegetables, and still lose weight. So that's because they're rich in fiber, they're rich in nutrition, but they're naturally low in calories. And when you compare them with meat and dairy and processed food, of course, foods with additives and added sugars and added fats and oils. Okay. Next question. Steven says, which beans and legumes should be eaten or avoided by cancer patients? Can they be cooked or only sprouted? Let's see. It's weird. It just repeated that. So I'll just have to answer that first part. There are no beans or legumes that are off limits for cancer patients. Beans and legumes are wonderful. I know you've probably heard other experts demonizing beans, demonizing grains, demonizing legumes, but let me give you just a little fact. The longest living people around the world with the lowest rates of most of our modern diseases, most of our types of cancers, heart disease, diabetes, also eat the most beans. The bean, legumes, as a food category, as a food type, are associated with the longest living people. So the longest living people eat the most beans. It's the #1 longevity food. So enjoy beans, right? Cook them, sprout them, eat them any way you want. Obviously raw is not great, right? You're not going to enjoy that. Sprouted raw is fine, but soaked and sprouted or cooked beans, black beans, lentils, chickpeas, split peas, navy beans, black-eyed peas, all legumes are wonderful. So just eat as much as you want. Enjoy them. They're so good for you. And the American diet is very low in legumes. It's one of the reasons it's so unhealthy. Okay. Of course, they're a great source of protein too. Okay. Next question. Chris, I have multiple myeloma and I'm underweight. Is there anything different I should do? Thanks, Dave. So there's nothing different you should do for that type of cancer. You know, what I talk about all the time, and especially in Square One, is just radically changing your diet and lifestyle. It's not a cancer-specific protocol. It's just a healthy living protocol, like hardcore healthy living protocol, to give your body all this amazing stuff that it's been missing, all the wonderful phytonutrients in fruits and vegetables. Right? Of course, you'll get all the major vitamins. Of course, you'll get those things. You'll get plenty of protein. You'll get tons of fiber. Most of the American diet is fiber deficient, but you'll get all these amazing phytonutrients that work synergistically in your body and just help it repair and regenerate and detoxify. So there's no specific diet for multiple myeloma other than just hardcore healthy diet that I talk about in Square One. Now, as far as being underweight, you need to eat, and by the way, you need to make sure you're actually underweight, because a lot of people think they're underweight because they're skinny and they've lost weight. But the truth is, if you look up your BMI, Google BMI calculator, type in your height and your weight, and it'll tell you if you're in a normal weight range, if you're overweight, or if you're underweight. And you may find that you're actually in a normal weight range, that you're not clinically underweight. So even though you've lost weight and you're skinny and you look in the mirror and you don't like what you see right now, and you know your pants are too big and stuff like that, right? And you're like, oh man, I don't fit in any of my clothes. I'm underweight. Well, you may not be clinically underweight where it's actually detriment to your health. So assuming that's not the case, right? Assuming you are actually clinically underweight, you need to eat more. You just have to force yourself to eat more food, and especially cooked food, okay? So cooked starches are awesome. What am I talking about? Beans, organic corn, squash, all types of potatoes, right? Oatmeal for breakfast. I have a recipe on Chris Beat Cancer for this. It's in the Square One program too, and it's also on chrisbeatcancer.com, how to supercharge your oatmeal. And this is a 1,000-calorie bowl of oatmeal, and it's got hemp seed, flaxseed, chia seed, oats, almond butter, berries. I mean, it's just amazing, right? So you have to deliberately eat more food, and especially you might need more cooked food as opposed to raw food. Juices throughout the day give you calories, and smoothies are wonderful too for that. So you just have to be more deliberate, and literally download a calorie counter app like MyFitnessPal on your phone and enter in everything you eat in a day. And you can put in your weight goals. Either it's weight loss or weight gain, right? So if you have a weight gain goal, it'll tell you exactly how many calories you need to eat. And when you plug in all the healthy food to that app, it'll tell you if you have hit, if you're eating enough that day, each day, or if you need to eat more or whatever. So that's what you need to do. Okay, next question. Joanna Newkirk, how are you? Okay, what are your thoughts about having your lymph nodes removed if you have breast cancer and they were positive for cancer? I don't want to have mine removed. Well, I had lymph nodes removed, and sometimes it depends on how many they remove or which ones. You may not even notice, right? You might not miss them. Everything's fine. Other times it can cause some unintended side effects like lymphedema and things like that. So I can't say don't get them removed or definitely get them removed. It's just something you have to decide. Like if you really don't feel comfortable getting them removed and you want to give yourself some time to heal and just go hardcore with nutrition and natural therapies, that's your choice. It's your life. So I wouldn't say I'm not like, I'm sort of a never say never guy. So it's okay if you don't want to have them removed right now, and if you change your mind in 3 months if what you're doing isn't working, then that's okay too. So you really have to listen to your instincts and intuition, but at the same time, don't kid yourself, right? Don't the thing I see with cancer patients sometimes that are choosing nutrition or alternative therapies, natural therapies, stuff like that, and they're maybe saying no to conventional therapies, is that they kind of put their head in the sand a little bit sometimes, and they don't really change their life. They're just like, well, I'm not doing that. I'm going to do some alternative therapies, and they they just take a few supplements and maybe drink some juice every once in a while. It's not they're not really doing anything. So I just want to make sure for you and everyone watching that if you decide to you really want to change your life, you need to go all the way. I've said this a lot of times. 100% is easy, 99% is hard. You got to go 100% all the way. And so if you do that, then yes, it's your life. It's your prerogative. You can give yourself a month or 60 days or 90 days and monitor your progress. And if things are improving, if your blood work's improving, if maybe the lymph nodes are shrinking or some of them resolve, go back to normal size, then you're on the right track. If they continue to grow and get bigger, then hey, what you're doing isn't working, and then maybe it's time to get them out. So that's the best advice I can give you. I mean, I know I can't say yes, do it or don't do it or whatever. Of course, your doctors want you to, but it's your life. Okay, next question. Okay, great. Tracy says, should my husband get a biopsy? Okay, well, a biopsy is really the only way to confirm that you definitely have cancer. Okay, you can, if you have a lump or a bump, right, you can certainly see it on a CT scan or a PET scan or an ultrasound, MRI. You can see something there, but even a PET scan, even if something lights up on a PET scan, it doesn't mean it's cancer. Sometimes just infections will light up on a PET scan. So the biopsy is how they confirm that it's definitely cancer. So if you absolutely 100% have to know, is this cancer, then the only way to know is a biopsy. Well, there are blood tests that can indicate cancer too, of course. And I'll talk about those in Module 10. Hopefully you saw that. But should he or shouldn't he, it's just a personal choice, right? Some people come to me and say, I don't want to get a biopsy, right? I don't want to get a biopsy. Then my response is, then you need to just treat it like it's cancer, right? You need to go all the way hardcore and treat yourself if you're just refusing therapies or I don't know what you're doing, but assuming you're saying, I don't want to do chemo, I want to, go hardcore with nutrition, then if there's a lump or a bump, you just need to treat it like it's cancer if you don't want to get a biopsy, because it may be. Okay, Stephen says, should all soy products be avoided during cancer treatment? No, I said earlier, all legumes are wonderful, including soy. Make sure it's organic. Soy has been demonized by so many people, and yet the best scientific studies on populations and longevity have shown that women who consume soy have lower rates of breast cancer, and breast cancer patients who consume soy have lower rates of recurrence and better survival. So I know there are some big wellness influencers out there that have been saying for years that soy is bad, that it's a phytoestrogen, that it mimics estrogen in the body. Yes, it's a phytoestrogen. Phyto means plant. It's a plant-based estrogen that acts very different in the body. It behaves differently in the body than human estrogen. It actually binds to estrogen receptors, which is good. And it blocks the absorption of excess human estrogen. So soy products are great. They're fine. Don't be afraid of them. Just make sure it's organic, because 90% roughly of conventional soy is GMO. It's genetically modified. And I follow the precautionary principle, which means, I'm going to stay on the safe side. That's why I don't eat genetically modified food. Okay. Okay. Is kombucha bad? I drink it every day for gut health. I don't think anyone needs to drink kombucha every day. I drink it every once in a while just as an occasional treat. Kombucha is tea, it's fermented with sugar, and it's just not necessary. I mean, you can get wonderful probiotic bacteria. The two best sources are one, starchy vegetables. Okay, all starches, right? Potatoes, beans, rice, corn, squash, lentils, all the legumes. Those are starches, and starches contain prebiotics, and prebiotics are food for good bacteria. So probiotics, the bacteria, feed on prebiotics. And prebiotics is eating starch and fiber. That's prebiotics. So number one, eating lots of starch and fiber will heal your gut. And stop eating meat and dairy, which are inflammatory, and junk food and fast food and processed food, right? So you stop eating the inflammatory stuff, start eating whole foods from the earth, lots of fruits and vegetables. And then number two, if you want to eat specific beneficial bacteria, then yeah, the occasional kombucha is okay, but apple cider vinegar every day is wonderful. Kimchi and sauerkraut are wonderful. And that's what I did every day. Apple cider vinegar, kimchi, and sauerkraut on giant salads. Of course, you can add a teaspoon or tablespoon of apple cider vinegar to any juice or glass of water. So it's easy to get in your body that way too. So that's easy. And of course, you can take a probiotic supplement. The problem with some probiotic supplements is there's a million of them out there, and some of them don't actually make it to your digestive tract, right? You swallow it, and the bacteria is dead before it hits your digestive tract. And so there are a few out there that have been tested extensively, millions of dollars. There's some nutraceutical companies that have spent millions of dollars testing and stuff. And like Metagenics Ultraflora is definitely one of those ones that is very well known, high reputation probiotic that does actually get through your digestive tract to your colon and help repopulate. So they don't pay me. I'm not endorsing them. I'm just saying it's a pretty well-known one. There's others out there, but that's just one I talk about in Module 10, Module 9 of Square One. So that's another option too. But again, you don't have to take probiotics, although it's very helpful if you have had antibiotics, right? Because antibiotics destroy your gut bacteria. And a lot of cancer patients have had to take antibiotics before surgery. So, yeah, I mean, again, to just go ahead and give things a jump start, right? The plant-based diet, tons of fiber and starch, and aloe vera is amazing for healing the gut too. I talk about that in Module 9. And taking a probiotic. Okay. What's next? John says, what do you think about eating for your blood type? It's basically been disproven because the healthiest populations around the world eat a diet that's 95% plant-based. And these are the longest living people on every continent. So they have all different types, blood types. So it's really not, it's not valid. I would just toss it out. Okay. John says, I desperately need to gain weight. I'm 6'2", 145 pounds. All right, I already addressed this earlier, but I got down to 130. I'm also 6'2", okay? So you still got 15 pounds to lose before you get to where I was, man. So really, you're okay. You're still in a healthy weight range. You're near the bottom of it, but you're okay. Just keep doing what you're doing. If you're maintaining 145, you're fine for now, okay? But if you really, feel like you need to gain more weight, I don't think you do at this point. If you're trying to heal, just stay where you are, maintain. You need to eat more cooked food. Very simple. You need to track your calories. Just watch the replay of this when it's over, and you'll see my longer answer to an earlier question. V. Marie says, Chris, did you work while going through your healing process? Yes, I did. I did not have the luxury of, by the way, I'm sorry I'm yellow. It's night and, the light in here is weird. So probably look like I'm sick right now because this lighting is so unflattering. But anyway, okay. Rabbit trail. Yes, I absolutely worked while I was going through cancer. I did not have the luxury of not working I was married. I had bills to pay. I had a wife who, wanted to spend all our money. I'm just kidding. No, but we had bills and expenses. Like, we had to just keep living, and I had to pay for food and supplements. So I was able to work because I didn't do chemo, right? I mean, chemo is so debilitating that it just knocks you out. And so, yeah, I was obviously off work after surgery for a few weeks, but I was really back at it pretty quickly. And that was, again, the reason, one of the benefits of not doing chemo for me was that I was able to keep working and living my life and feeling good and taking care of myself. Okay. All right. Lisa says, I love square one. Why is sleep from 11 p.m. to 1 a.m. important? Well, there's been some research, and maybe, I don't know how valid it is, but I've seen this over and over again, like that there's a critical recharge period during that time of the night for your body, and it's just really, really powerful, regenerative, restorative sleep happens, in those sort of 11 p.m. to 1 a.m. range. But I mean, so the thing is, I talk about this in the sleep module. If you want to live in harmony with nature, you need to go to bed when the sun goes down, right? Soon after the sun goes down. Not at 7:30, but like within an hour or two at most of sunset. That needs to be your bedtime, right? Because darkness signals sleep. Your body starts to produce estrogen. You start to get tired and sleepy and yawn when it's dark. The problem that we have in the modern world is we keep all the lights on at night, and it keeps us awake a lot longer than we should be. Our ancestors would often go to sleep early because, they were living by candlelight or firelight. And it was not uncommon for them to wake up in the middle of the night and be awake for 1 to 2 hours in the middle of the night. And they would get up and do stuff. And there is an expression, first sleep and second sleep, because it was just very common for people to wake up in the middle of the night because they would go to sleep so early. So anyway, that was a little bit of a long answer, but living in harmony with nature means sleeping at night, And guess what? In the winter, you should be sleeping more because there's more night time, right? So think about that. Is sprouted bread okay, like Genesis bread or Ezekiel bread? Yeah, I enjoyed Ezekiel bread and sprouted organic whole grain breads on occasion, and I still do. So yeah, I think they're wonderful. I think Ezekiel bread's wonderful. Okay. Someone sent me a private message. I'm sorry, I can't respond to private messages. I get way too many. And I also want to apologize for everyone that posted questions on my page. It's too many. I can't answer them. I can only answer these ones in the video feed. Okay. What if your stomach can't handle all that 64 ounces of fiber? Well, I don't understand that because there's no fiber in juice. So I would say if you're having digestional issues, just back it off a little. Okay, just back it off a little bit. You might need to eat more cooked food in the short term versus raw food because there is a transition period for your digestive system and your gut bacteria to produce the right kind of bacteria to break down raw, right, leafy green vegetables. Okay, so yeah, when you transition from a mostly cooked diet to a mostly raw diet, yeah, your body has to adapt to it, and it will. But you just may need to eat more cooked stuff in the short term. Fruit is awesome, though. I mean, you really can't eat too much fruit, and it's so easy to digest. Okay. Andrew says, for the holidays, can I have turkey and organic turkey and vegetables? Are all I'm supposed to eat are salads, and I don't want to blow this new way of eating. Thank you for this chance to go live with you. Okay. Look, if you're trying to heal cancer, I mean, what I did was I was no meat for no animal products for at least 90 days. So, yeah, if you want to have a serving of turkey, is it going to make a difference? No. Okay. But what happens is people start eating meat, they kind of develop a taste for it again, and then they start eating more and more, and then they, slowly go back to their old ways. And so I think you should avoid it. I went through all the holidays. I actually was fasting. During my cancer healing, time in my life, there was a weekend where I was fasting, and I was like, I'm going to fast this weekend. I'd been fasting or whatever, and surprise, it was Easter weekend, and I didn't realize it was coming up, and so Easter Sunday we have a lot of family here, and we had a big family get together, and I wasn't eating, I was like, I'm fasting, but I didn't want to skip the family thing because our family's really close, and whatever. So this was 4 months after I was diagnosed. So yeah, I went to Easter Sunday, family buffet, and I didn't eat anything. And it was tough. It was tough. I mean, the food smelled great, okay? But I was just like, my determination was more powerful than my appetite, right? It was more powerful than the temptation of turkey, okay? And determination is really the key here, because motivation, it comes and goes, right? One day you can feel motivated, the next day you're not. It's determination, right? That's what sees you through. Determination is what keeps you on track, right? Okay. John said, how did you have the confidence to go the natural route versus chemo so early in your cancer journey? I am very instinctive and very... I'm just a very instinctive person, okay? I listen to my intuition, and the idea of chemotherapy to me didn't make sense. And even though I didn't have any proof or confidence really that there was anything else out there, my wife and I prayed about it, and I got some information. I got a book that was written by a guy who'd healed his cancer, colon cancer, with nutrition, and it was like, wow, wait a minute, if this guy can do it, maybe I can do it. And it just sort of, the light bulb went off, and I had the giant paradigm shift that the way I was living might have contributed to this cancer, that my attitude, my lifestyle, my diet, just everything in my world was making me sick. And even though that's not true, not everything in my world was making me sick, I took that attitude, right? I sort of stepped back and was like, everything's a threat. And I'm going to examine everything in my life, right? Put it all on the table and sift through it and decide, okay, I got two piles, right? Is this the healthy pile, the unhealthy pile, right? What in my life is health producing and what is disease producing? And most of it, I determined, was disease producing. So I was like, okay, I have to stop doing all of these things, which I go into detail in the Square One course if you've seen some of it, obviously. Well, I'm assuming you have because you're tuning in, but you could just be a Facebook fan. Anyway, so it was my instincts, it was intuition, it was faith, it was coming across information that inspired me right at that time, and I knew it was an answer to my prayers. And I just was a little bit, I was afraid to do chemo, and I was afraid not to do chemo. But I was slightly more afraid of chemo. Okay, just slightly more. They were both really scary options, but I was just slightly more afraid of doing chemotherapy. So it was like, well, and I was excited about the whole prospect, about the adventure that lay before me of changing my whole life. I was not excited about chemo, about being sick and taking, having poison put in my veins and everything that goes with that. And so to me, it was just like, man, my personal thought was, I can always do chemo as a last resort. And so I put it off. And I went hardcore, 100% all the way, with nutrition and natural therapies. And, we did a lot of testing, blood work every month and scans. And it was just went from scan to scan to scan and test to test to test, just like hoping this is working, hoping there isn't a recurrence, and the fear and the anxiety, all that stuff. I was there. I struggled with it. It was real in my life. And, but I got well. Right? And so I never had to resort to saying, I never had to have that tough decision where I was like, well, this isn't working. I don't know what to do next, because for me, I just got better and better. Okay. Okay, let's see if I can read this whole comment. Chris, I'm a patient. I'm underweight, and I was considering doing the ketogenic diet. I'm very concerned because I keep losing weight. I really don't know what to eat anymore. Okay, so, well, I talked, again, you're going to have to rewatch, because in the beginning I answered the what to do if you're underweight question, but I will answer the ketogenic diet question. I talk about this in Square One some, but the ketogenic diet is way overhyped. It's way, way overhyped. There's a lot of people running around talking about how great it is for cancer that haven't actually healed cancer with it, okay? They're just on the keto bandwagon. They're on the fad wagon, and they've thought, ooh, keto, this is the hot new thing. I'm better crank out a book about it real quick, and I'm gonna be a ketogenic diet expert, right? That's what's happening. I mean, just, about 4 years ago when I first discovered it, there was like one little book about the ketogenic diet. And I even thought, whoa, I could write a book about this and be like the first guy on the scene, because I believed in the theories too. They were so compelling in 2011 and 12 when I first came across this for cancer. And but then as I watched people, adopting the ketogenic diet, and I watched them not do well over and over and over, like occasionally one would do okay, but most of them didn't do well. And I thought, wait a second. Like, maybe I need to back away from this, and maybe this is a bad idea. And then the deeper I researched, the less confidence I had in it. And so, could it be helpful for some types of cancers for some people in some circumstances? Maybe, maybe. But I don't think it's a good first choice at all. And everyone who I've interviewed who's healed cancer did it with the principles in Square One, right? That's hardcore fruits and vegetables, like overdosing on nutrition. They didn't do it with this high-fat diet, only eating eggs and coconut oil and avocados and nuts. It's just, sorry, like all the survivors I know who've healed didn't do that. So I don't think it's a good strategy. Steven says, is raw or cooked oatmeal in moderate amounts safe? Yes, oatmeal's amazing, man. Oatmeal's great. Eat a giant bowl of oatmeal in the morning, every morning. Gerson therapy, that's what they eat every morning. Oatmeal. Oats are wonderful. Oats are one of the best grains. Make sure it's organic, and enjoy oatmeal. Okay. Okay, what's the max combined tablespoons of nut butters, olive oil, palm oil, coconut oil, avocado oil that should be ingested by cancer patients that are lean? I wouldn't do the oils. Now, the nut butters are okay. Nut butter is the whole thing. An oil is a processed food. It's not a whole food. So skip the oils. I mean, a little bit of olive oil or flax oil on your salad, just a little, like a tablespoon or something, is fine. Okay, it can actually help with the absorption of fat-soluble nutrients in vegetables. So that's okay. But forget all the other oils. You don't need them. And when you're cooking, steam your food. You can pan fry with water instead of oil. You just don't need oils. In fact, Dr. Gerson forbid oils completely from the Gerson protocol, except for flax oil. So, yeah, just a little bit, but enjoy nut butter. Almond butter is amazing. Walnut butter is wonderful. Try to eat whole nuts and nut butters, and avoid the ones that have added sugar and stuff like that. Okay. Give me a second. This is a tricky question, so I'm just trying to think about it. Basically, what foods or supplements do I need to stay away from not to increase estrogen? Well, I wouldn't worry about, so let's stop eating animals, okay, number one. Number two, get to a healthy weight, because if you're overweight, excess body fat produces excess estrogen, okay? So if estrogen is an issue, an estrogen-based breast cancer, you need to be eating flax and soy. Those are phytoestrogens. They're wonderful. You need to be eating oats. You need to be eating fruit and all vegetables, cruciferous vegetables, tons of fiber. And what happens is your estrogen levels are going to go down. B, your body dumps excess estrogen. Your liver dumps it, tries to shed it to get rid of it by dumping it into your colon, into your digestive tract. And when you eat a high fiber diet, the fiber absorbs estrogen and then you poop it out. right? That's good. If you're eating a high animal food diet, lots of meat and dairy, your digestive tract is going to be slow, and you're going to reabsorb estrogen, and your estrogen levels are going to stay high. There was a testimonial, a Square One testimonial. Julie Johnson, her testimony was at the end of one of the videos, but I don't want to get the names mixed up. I think it was Julie Johnson, but the point is, she had an incredible turnaround. Might have been Joanna. I'm sorry. Point is, she had an amazing turnaround in her estrogen levels after going through Square One. I mean, just a dramatic, huge drop in estrogen in her body. I mean, it's just great, a really good thing. So I don't know about supplements. You might look into DIM, D-I-M. Okay, look into DIM for controlling estrogen too. Yasmin says, "Hi, Chris. The whole family's watching you tonight." Hi, family. Okay. Sorry, the lighting's weird, and I look like I just got off the set of The Walking Dead with this weird lighting in my office. Okay. Oh man, I wish people would stop posting questions on my actual Facebook page. All right. Husband has. Let's see. This is another question about gaining weight, so I've already answered that. Okay, this is a question about coffee enemas. So Susanna says, in the Gerson therapy, they do a coffee enema for every 3 juices. And they drink about 13 juices a day. So they'll do a coffee enema in the morning, they'll do one after lunch, they'll do one after dinner. So 3 to 4 coffee enemas a day in Gerson therapy. Now the reason Gerson had patients doing that was because he learned through his practice that when he put them on this hardcore diet, it was a plant-based diet with tons of juices, they lost a lot of weight, and a lot of them had a very quick tumor die-off. And sometimes it was, to the point that it overloaded the liver, right? Because your liver is your body's detoxification organ. It's like the main one, right? Of course, your skin is too, and other organs, but the point is, like, almost everything has to go through the liver first. And if you detox too fast, it can overload the liver. So the purpose of coffee enemas, according to Dr. Gerson and all the other practitioners that still give them to patients today in clinics around the world, is to assist in detoxification, to open up the bile ducts in the liver so that it detoxifies. So it just excretes bile more efficiently, more rapidly, and prevents like toxic overload in the liver. So that is why coffee enemas are recommended by practitioners around the world still. So coffee enemas won't make you detox too fast. What they can will or may do is help your body detoxify. Okay. Roger says, is there a specific protocol for prostate cancer that returns after surgery? No, there's not a specific protocol for any, in my opinion, for any type of cancer. It's the same approach. It's hardcore diet and lifestyle change, hardcore life change. But there is an amazing study on prostate cancer reversal that you need to Google. If you Google Ornish prostate cancer, Dr. Dean Ornish has one of the most remarkable studies in the history of nutrition and cancer, where they proved that they could reverse early stage prostate cancer with a plant-based diet, stress management, and exercise. You've got to read the study, man. It's amazing. Ornish prostate cancer. The PDF of the study is it's hosted on his site. It's on other sites too. And he just showed that they took all these men with prostate cancer, put them on this diet and lifestyle program, plant-based diet, and their PSA levels started dropping very quickly. So that's what you got to do. It's the same thing I talk about in Square One. It's a plant-based diet. So the prostate is prostate cancer is an endocrine cancer, like breast cancer, ovarian, uterine, and endocrine cancers are typically very sensitive, very receptive to animal protein, animal fat, and hormones in animal food. And they use those things to grow. And when you remove animal protein, fat, and hormones from your diet, it starves the cancer. Okay. Have you heard of CellQuest? No, I have not. Pat says, I've been on a plant-based diet for years, but I still keep gaining weight. I don't eat sugar or refined foods, only whole foods. I even gain weight when I fast. Well, gaining weight when you fast, I don't know. I've never heard that before. So here's the thing. I would download a calorie tracker like MyFitnessPal. I would plug in exactly what you're eating every day and let it tell you, because there may be some things in your diet that, if you have a really slow metabolism, yes, it's possible to overeat even on a plant-based diet. And you may be eating some really high calorie stuff, like if you're eating a lot of nuts and nut butters and oils, then those are those are dense, calorie dense foods, and you still may be exceeding the amount of calories that your body really needs. And if you eat more than you need, you're going to gain weight. So could be something simple like that, but you've got to start counting calories. You got to actually look at the foods that you're eating every day, what the calorie count is, and then figure out how many calories your body actually needs, and do some substitutions, right? So eat more starches, eat more fruit, eat more cruciferous vegetables, green leafies, and maybe less oils and nuts and seeds if you're eating a lot of those things. But nobody gains weight on a water fast. I know that. Now, if you're talking about like a juice fast, maybe you're still drinking more calories in juice than you need. But I promise you, if you stop eating, you will not gain weight. Your body will burn off extra weight on a water fast. There's no doubt about that. Okay. Sorry, I'm skipping some because I've already answered these. I've answered these in other, same kind of questions already, sorry. A lot of weight loss and weight gain questions. If you're unable to do IV vitamin C, what's the best way to ingest vitamin C? Is there a form or brand you recommend? If you Google high dose oral vitamin C protocol for cancer, you'll find an article I wrote about the high dose oral protocol. So this is an alternative to IV vitamin C. A lot of people don't have access to it, and others don't have the money to afford it. And you can take high dose oral vitamin C, and there's a very specific way you need to do it. And I talk about brands and how to do it and all this stuff in that post. So everybody just check it out if you're interested in doing it at home. It's extremely, extremely inexpensive to take high dose oral vitamin C, but you have to figure out your bowel tolerance. So you have to take it throughout the day and figure out how much your body can handle before you get diarrhea. You're going to get diarrhea the first day. That's the point. And then you back it off a little. But go read the article. You will learn some things about that. Crystal says, I have thyroid cancer and can't get energy to burn fat. My metabolism is slow and I have RA, autoimmune disease. So if you're eating any animals at all, animal foods, protein and fat exacerbate autoimmune disease and inflammation in the body. They promote inflammation in the body. And the best foods to combat inflammation are fruits and vegetables. And as far as energy to burn fat goes, I promise you, if you stop eating, you will burn fat. Your body will burn it, right? And so, like, I talk about water fasting a lot, and even juice fasting, which juice fasting isn't technically a fast, but people understand what you mean when you say juice fasting, just only drinking juices. But I'm a huge proponent of water fasting. Obviously, you need to, if you're taking prescription medication, then you may not be able to do a water fast. But if you're not taking prescription medication, generally speaking, it's safe. Okay, not a doctor, not medical advice, but 3-day water fast is incredible. And what you'll find if you're extremely overweight, if you're really, really big, then you have a lot of extra energy stored up. That's what fat is. It's just stored energy. And when you fast, your body converts from burning what you eat for fuel to the fuel that you've stored on your butt or wherever, okay? And it will burn the fat that you've stored for energy. That is the only reason there's fat on your body, is because your body is saving it for later, right? Because you've put more calories in than you need, and your body's like, oh, we've got extra. Let's save it in case there's a famine, right? So Fasting resets a lot of things in the body. 3 to 5 day water fast is so powerful. It's unbelievable how powerful it is to reset your metabolism, to jumpstart weight loss, to boost your immune system. Like, there's just so much amazing research coming out, like just in the last few years, about how powerful fasting is. So I want to encourage you to look into that. I talk about it in Square One, and of course, you can learn stuff from Google too. You can Google fasting boosts your immune system, and you'll find articles about that. But that's, anytime somebody's struggling with multiple issues, a water fast is, and it's free. Like, I can't sell you a water fast, right? It's free, costs you nothing, it makes me no money, right? But I think it really is the best first approach for a lot of people that are struggling with health challenges. Is like, you got to just do a hard reset. That's what it is. It's a hard reset, like when your computer freezes up. It's a hard reset on your body. And amazing things happen internally, metabolically, physiologically, when you stop eating, when your body converts from, maintenance mode, whatever, to survival mode and repair and regeneration mode. So that's what fasting does. Okay. Looking for another question to answer that I haven't already answered. Oh, great question. Craig says, I have bladder cancer spread to the lymph nodes. Chemo is the treatment I feel comfortable with, but would also like to follow your protocol. Is that okay? Yes, absolutely. One of the biggest misunderstandings about me or about the Square One protocol is that, that it's sort of like you can't do chemo and Square One. Like, you have to pick one, right? And that's not true at all. Like, Square One is a holistic diet and lifestyle program that will benefit you. It will only help you whether you do chemo or not, okay? Because these are, you've gone through some of it, maybe you bought the course or whatever, but the point is, or maybe you're thinking about it, but what I'm getting at is, I've taken all these evidence-based principles, not only from the scientific literature, but from my own observations and people that I know who've healed, and put them together in the course. And those principles will help you. We know that cancer patients who exercise have better survival. Yes, those are patients who do chemo, okay? So there's a whole exercise module in Square One. We know the plant-based diet is the most anti-cancer diet. And so if you're doing chemo, it makes sense to eat an anti-cancer diet too. So yeah, absolutely. The Square One protocol, the course, the program, whatever you want to call it, I designed it to help all cancer patients. It's not the give the finger to your doctor and just do Square One. Although, some people do that. A lot of people find me after they've already, written off conventional therapy because it's failed them or whatever. But the point is, yeah, absolutely. I want to highly encourage you to incorporate as much of Square One into your life if you do conventional therapy too, because the majority of it is compatible. Okay. Mark says, some days there are not enough hours to do everything you recommend. What's the best way to prioritize? Well, yeah, it's a great question. So in the Square One guidebook, I actually have the daily schedule in there that really does prioritize like how to make this work for your, in your life, how to incorporate as much health and healing practices into your life. And the foundation is your diet. Okay? So the diet, you've got to eat. You're eating 2 times, 3 times a day. So that's got to be the first thing you change and you stay hardcore about. The second thing is exercise. You've got to make time to move your body every day, every day, every day. Movement is life, okay? This is huge. And then addressing stress in your life, right? That is huge. Like really taking a look at like, where is my stress coming from? Am I unhappy? Why? What do I need to, what am I running away from? What problems do I have that I need to just address right now and solve instead of, right, pretending like they don't exist? And so, those are the kind of the big ones, right? It's diet and lifestyle. And beyond that, yes, there's all kinds of therapies and protocols and coffee enemas and there's a lot of more stuff you can do. But those are the main principles that I think are doable for everyone. And you don't have to spend a ton of money on a bunch of alternative therapies or supplements or whatever. I mean, the supplement module goes into detail on a lot of supplements that I think can be very beneficial, but every time I talk about supplements, I have to say, if you're not going to change your diet, don't waste your money on supplements. Don't do it. You are wasting your money if you're still eating cheeseburgers and, curly fries and Wendy's Frosties, and you think, oh, I'm going to take some beta-glucans and some aloe and, some moringa, or whatever, black seed oil. You're wasting your money. Okay? So the supplements, and this applies to most alternative therapies too, right? If you're not willing to change your life, don't go spend a bunch of money doing alternative therapies. Don't go spend a bunch of money going to some clinic if you're not willing to change your life, because you will get a limited benefit from that and it won't be enough. Okay, that was a little bit of a soapbox, but hey, I'm pretty passionate about this subject. Okay. Okay, skipping questions I don't know how to answer. Whoops. Oh, I almost lost my... Okay. Sorry, guys. Looking for a question that would be a good one to answer for you guys. Okay. V. Marie says, if I live where agriculture is surrounding me, Salem, Oregon, should I move to where there are less chemicals in the air? Well, you should consider it, because if you're around farm, people used to think living out, out in the country was so healthy. But the problem is, if you're living surrounded by farmland, you are breathing all of these pesticides, fungicides, all these chemicals. They're spraying on crops all around you, and you're breathing that stuff, right? I think, and then if you're living downtown in a major city, you're breathing, all this automobile exhaust and pollution and stuff. So it's really a challenge. My opinion right now is that probably the safest place to live is the suburbs, because you're not in the city with all of the city smog kind of stuff, and you're not in the country with all of the agricultural spraying. So I think the suburbs are kind of like one of the safest places to live, unless you can find sort of an isolated country region, that is not surrounded by farmland, right? So maybe it's in the mountains or the woods or something. I have a friend that lives in the mountains. In fact, one of and they have a problem regionally, because there's some weird phenomenon with where he lives that smog gets trapped. Even though they thought they were moving into this country situation, all this smog gets trapped, and it won't, in a bowl where he lives, and he's way out. It's out in the woods. So yeah, it can be frustrating, but that's my best advice. Maybe move to the suburbs. Okay. We know that farmers, I'll just say one more thing, have higher rates of lymphoma from all the agricultural chemicals. So, if they have higher rates, and you're living next door to them or surrounded by them, well, it could be affecting you. Okay, still looking here. Got a few more minutes, about 5 more minutes. Okay, here's one. Rose says, what are your thoughts on medical cannabis and bone broth, which is an odd combo, for stage 4 laryngeal cancer? So I've said this already many times. I don't think there's a specific protocol for specific cancers. I think, you got to heal the whole body. You got to change everything, right? So, but cannabis is, if I had cancer now, I would be looking into cannabis, right? I would be looking into it to add to my protocol. I wouldn't just put all my faith in it and just say, I'm just going to do cannabis and cure my cancer with cannabis because I saw it on YouTube or whatever. Okay? So, but we know there are a couple of things that cannabis does. Definitely does. One, it definitely reduces stress. Okay? That's good. Number 2, it is a pain reliever. That is good. Number 3, it increases appetite. That's good too, all right? Now, there are anti-cancer compounds in cannabis, cannabinoids, and so there's still so much research yet to be done, but whether or not, cannabis is killing all types of cancer cells or only certain types of cancer cells, or, we don't know yet, like really don't know. But I do know people that have healed and that cannabis is part of their protocol, so it could be very beneficial. I know people also that did it and they ended up dying, but some there's lots of reasons for that, right? So if I had cancer now, yeah, I would be looking into cannabis to add. Something I don't cover in Square One because, frankly, it's not, a lot of people don't have access to it. And I don't want people to get discouraged and think, that that's the cure and they can't get it or whatever. Now, as far as bone broth, I don't think you need bone broth at all. I just don't think you need it. There's nothing in bone broth that really you can't get from anything, from fruits and vegetables. And a lot of bone broth is contaminated, and you're contributing to an industry that is killing. The last statistic I heard, 1 million animals are killed every hour to feed our appetite for animals in the United States. It's freaking crazy. That's crazy, okay? So, and I'm not an animal rights activist, but like 1 million animals an hour? Like, come on. So, yeah, bone broth is just a big fad. You don't need it. It's not going to change your life. It's not going to change your health. It's not going to cure your cancer. It's just, you don't need it. Okay. Okay, this is a pretty good one. This is not a cancer patient question, but it's a caregiver question, so I'm going to answer it. My 79-year-old mother is battling lymphoma for the second time in 5 years. Really? Because the conventional therapy failed, clearly. She refuses to do anything except chemo. Thinks anything natural or holistic is quackery. If I could sneak one thing into her diet to help. Sorry, I'm trying to see the whole comment. It's not showing me the whole thing. To help, I'm assuming you're saying, what's the one thing I could sneak in there? Nothing. There's not one thing you can put in her diet that's going to turn her cancer around. And that's tough. It's tough when you're trying to help someone that cannot be helped. And this is one of the most difficult lessons I had to learn personally, is that some people cannot be helped. Doesn't matter how much you know, doesn't matter how much information you have, doesn't matter the fact that you've been through it personally. I've had multiple close people around me diagnosed that never asked me for help. And if they had asked, I would have given them as much help as I could possibly muster. And yet, nobody asked. So if they don't ask, I'm not going to go, bang on their door and try to force carrot juice down their throat or sneak some healthy stuff in there. Again, it won't be enough. There's nothing you can sneak in there that's going to be enough if she's just still eating the standard American diet, right? If she's overweight, if she's doing chemo, you're in a very difficult, and I know people watching this are in this exact same situation. That's why I wanted to answer this question. Sometimes you just have to let people go, they want to do what they want to do. You can encourage them and try to show them information and show them the Square One videos and documentaries and, What the Health is a fantastic documentary. And sometimes you just can't get through to people and you can't help them, People are going to do what they want to do. And that's tough. And so what I do is I learned that I have to focus on helping the people that want my help. That's you guys, right? You're tuned in right now. You watched the Square One videos, some of them or all of them. And that's who I'm focused on. I'm not out there banging on strangers' doors or tweeting at celebrities or trying to convince people with cancer they need to listen to me, okay? You found me, I'm going to help you, okay? And so I know that's hard advice because this is, there are people in your life that you care about and you love and you would do anything in the world to help them. But sometimes you just can't, you just can't. And the best thing you can do, the thing is, you don't want to be a pester. You don't want to be a pest. You don't want to continue to be a nag, and you don't want to cause division in your relationship, right? To drive a wedge between the two of you because that other person feels like you're judging them because they're not eating, doing the supplements or eating the diet or juicing or whatever you really told them that, passionately that you thought they should do. At some point, like you make your case, right? And you like really do that. And if the light bulb doesn't go off, if they can't, if they just don't get it, then you just have to just say, you know what, I love you, and I support you, and you just have to love on them, right? It's your mother, right? It's your mother. You just gotta love on her. If she calls and asks you to go pick up a double cheeseburger for her because she's in bed and she's hungry, you go do it. That's what I would do for my mom or my dad if they just were like sick and suffering, and if that's what they wanted. It's like, I love you. I'll give you what you want. I'm not your parent. I'm not going to tell you no. I'm just going to love on you and serve you. And ultimately they're responsible for their own choices and for their life. You aren't. So I just want you to know that this is not your burden. It's not your responsibility to fix them, to cure them, to heal them. Okay? So you cannot kick yourself, beat yourself up, second guess yourself. If you've tried and they just, kind of refuse to listen, then right now you can't help them. But here's the one light at the end of the tunnel, the one, maybe that could happen. What I know for sure is that time changes things. Time changes things. So there might be a point in time for everyone listening that's in this situation where the person you're trying to help has the light bulb go off, right? Usually it's after treatment fails again, and they're like, and the doctor's like, well, we need to give you this new chemo, this stronger chemo now because your cancer's still growing. And then, then they reevaluate again, right? They just think, wait a minute, like, the first time didn't work, the second time didn't work, like, I'm through with this stuff, I'm done, right? So you just need to wait for that opportunity, look for that opportunity, and time changes things. So just one day that person could just decide, you know what, I'm done with that, and I'm ready to change everything, and then you can jump in and be like, okay, right? Like, let me help. Like, here, this is what I've learned, and like, let's try. Let's do this. So, I hope that happens for you. I really, really do. I hope something turns around. But sometimes things don't change, and people just make, they just make their own choices, and they have to live with the consequences of their own choices. And sometimes that means a premature death. So. Anyway, okay guys, I've got to wrap this up. I'm so glad you all tuned in. Thank you all for all the hearts and the thumbs. I mean, they're just coming across like crazy. This has been really good. Quick housekeeping. So tomorrow night, doing another Q&A, same time, 8 p.m. Eastern. This one is for prevention questions, okay? So it's more of an ask me anything. Tonight was for cancer patients. Obviously, I couldn't get to every question. I mean, it's just way too many, but tomorrow is for prevention-related questions, so I really want to talk, just about that, anything you want to ask, really, just bring it. The Square One program, the discount has been extended until Monday, so if you're thinking about buying it, it's 50% off right now. I'll put a link above and below the video, and you get access to 6 private Q&As with me for Square One members, and I'm usually able to answer every single question. You get an extra copy to give to someone that you care about. They get a digital download you can give away. You get, all the DVDs. But here, look, here it is. Here's what you get right here. You get the transcript book. Sorry, the lighting here's bright, but you get the transcript book. You get the guide book. Look at this. It's like an infomercial, except it doesn't look very good. The lighting's so bright. You can't even read the writing on it. But anyway, this transcript book, the guide book, and the DVD set, and you get to be a part of our private support group. And our private online support group is like the best part of the whole program. I mean, the people in there are just awesome. They're amazing. And you'll get so much love and encouragement and support in there. So anyway, I want to encourage you, if you're thinking about it, go for it. You have 6 months. I mean, if you go for it all the way, or maybe you get it and then you just change your mind and you don't want to do it at all, it's fine. Like, we'll just give you your money back. Like, it's totally okay. But jump on it, because again, it's going back to the regular price on Monday. The reason we do it this way, we did this big, online event. We showed it for free, and everyone who orders, all those orders get printed in one big batch. And that's why the price is super discounted, because it's way cheaper to print them in one big batch and ship them all out at the same time than it is to just print a few at a time or whatever. So that deadline is coming up. That's Monday. So anyway, okay, guys, that's it. That's it for my my Square One sales pitch, or whatever you want to call that. And I'll see y'all tomorrow night, 8 p.m. Eastern. See ya.